Good day, everyone. Digital transformations has become a buzzword in the modern business world. Everyone is talking about it, but every company has a different understanding of what does that mean and what are the necessary steps towards it. In this data discussion, you shall get a chance to listen how does this process look like from the perspective of C-level companies in Serbia. Today, panelists are Nikolay Zalevskiy, Chief Digital Officer at NIS Gazprom, Milan Bukorovic, Chief Technology Officer at Nelt Group, and Dmitar Dilov, Chief Risk Officer at Raiffeisen Bank. Thank you for being on this panel. And we'll start with Dmitar. You're in banking business in Raiffeisen Bank for about like 15 years or something, almost 15 years.
Yes. Almost.
In 2005, we had a very simple mobile phones, judging from today's perspective. So, I mean, we didn't have any smartphones yet. Today, we all talk about mobile banking. That's the main thing. So, can you describe us what has changed in that sense, in digitalization in the banking sector since you came into the bank?
Okay, thank you for the question. Well, if I think back 15 years ago, the bank has changed quite a lot. I mean, you refer to the mobile banking, and this is one of the topics. But 15 years ago, the banking was pretty conservative and isolated area where it was not kind of. It was very difficult to penetrate. It was very difficult to change the business models. What we see these days is a change of business models. So we have a lot of these neo banks or challenger banks all around the globe. They're challenging the banking business model. And this small little device which we all have, like mobile phones, is something which is changing. And when I think back, when I started working in a bank, it was a lot of manual job around, a lot of papers. These days, we aim to reduce this paper flow and to have end-to-end digital processes,
including paper money.
I mean, paper money, there are different opinions if they will stay as they are. They are digital currencies. There is definitely potential on the blockchain and this type of money. And this is one of the disruptions which are coming. This is the transactions. So the one way how the banking is disrupted. Then the artificial intelligence or the instant decision making, for example, for customers. Then there is another example of biometrics, using biometrics to identify customers. This was unachievable years ago because simply the technologies they were not available at that time.
What about risk assessments? What have changed in that area? I mean, that's your expertise, I believe.
Yes. Well, risk has changed quite a lot because, as you probably know, the banking business is heavily regulated business. So because of the social importance and the many stakeholders involved in banking. So all we remember what happened in 2008 with the collapse of a big bank in US. Which causes a lot of changes in the regulations. This is the first massive pressure which is coming on the banks, regulatory requirements. Then on the other side is a technology which is available, and simply the banking business model is not only for banks anymore. I mean, in some countries it's not because of the regulation. It's not easy to penetrate on this market, but worldwide we see a lot of fintech growing. And what is important also...
That word almost didn't exist in 2005. I mean, it wasn't very popular.
I hardly can recall any such. There were some attempts, but because of the technology was not available at that time, 2005. I didn't have smartphone. I mean, although I had a good job and I had a simple phone with a black-white screen, and I mean, it was not possible. There were some attempts of doing SMS banking and this kind of stuff, telephone banking and this kind of stuff, but they didn't pick up. And what is more important, one of the important things is the skills which are required these days in banking. So when I started working, people were looking for economists or people with finance background. So these days you have banks which are run by very little economists. So they're simply tech companies. Because the data, the handling data skills, the reading the data, making sense out of data is very much crucial for the future existence of banks.
Yeah, Nikolay, maybe I'm not well informed, but I haven't heard about the oil tech. So it means you're spared from this digitalization thing, are you?
I think that digitalization for the oil and gas industry it doesn't has so big influence like a change of business, because we are in the physical world and oil and gas is still a physical thing. But otherwise, if we want to move forward, if we want to be more efficiency, we have to think about the digital. Today in the morning, we spoke with my colleagues that then they came in our office after the Christmas in 2015. Oil price was $25 per barrel. Before that, it was more than 100. So, and we learned that we have to think about efficiency every day and every time. And we found that the digitalization could be a good way, and it help us to increase our efficiency and help unlock additional resources, additional value for us. For example, if we see some worldwide research, it shows us that digitalization can help unlock oil and gas companies about $1.5 trillion of value. So because of that, digital agenda is very, very challenging, but at the same time, it's very actual for the these companies, oil company.
So how do you react when you hear on the conferences like this, people saying data is new oil?
I think it's true, and it's true for the oil and gas industry as well. So, because when we're talking about oil and gas industry, a lot of decision, what we make in oil and gas, we do based on the data. So if we learn how we can monetize this data in a proper way, it will be additional oil. So, for example, we had one project in Gazprom Neft. So when we're trying to find the layers where we can find the additional oil, so with using machine learning algorithms and data science, and after that, then they found this oil and get it, we name it like a digital oil.
Because it's made by data science.
Yeah, it based on digital science algorithms, it was based on the data.
So it really exists, actually.
Yes.
Digital oil exists.
Yeah.
Well, it's one thing we learned. Milan, you were on the both sides. I mean, you used to be somebody who was coding and trying to please the clients. Now you are the client of those who are coding. So which side is more comfortable, or which side suits you better? Which side did you like better?
Well, it's not the dark side and the light side. It is great.
They're both light.
Yeah, both light, yeah. Actually, when I was a software developer, technology changed a lot from that time, unfortunately for me. But basically, first thing that we are doing that, it was dramatically different from now, because technology is now, I think, in every aspect of the business. From the moment that we start, we need to, let's say, have more influence on our stakeholders to make them a wish to change something. Now, you have top-down initiatives which are actually changing the world. So let's say that digitalization is now must be top-down initiative. It must be something that put digitalization as something which is, let's say, thing that will change how you doing a business. For example, when I started to work in insurance company, I was developing something for the claims. And when I was in the insurance company for 20 years, the day I left, one insurance company from America, Lemonade, announced that they settle claim in 3 seconds. That means that somebody, they actually, they said, okay, please give settlement of this claim. Both did research, they reshaped the whole policy, they see if there is enough insurance coverage, and they actually did, I think, 18 algorithms, fraud algorithms, to see is that everything okay. They settled the claim, they put wiring instructions to the banks, and notified the client that claim is settled.
In 3 seconds?
In 3 seconds. The day when I left the insurance company. And when I started working in insurance company, I was trying to code something to when the client is coming to the office and begging for the claim, etc. That is a huge difference. And that's how the business is changed.
So what about logistics? You're now working in the logistics company.
And we
How many seconds?
Oh, there is no seconds. It's part of the seconds we need to make decisions. I'm a little bit joking, but of course that's the things. You have new companies which technology advanced, that they are entering the markets and then changing your business, and you need to think about that. You need to take care about everybody are aware of Amazon and the way how they are doing and how they are changing last mile in logistics. So since the operational efficiency is all for the logistic and distribution company, we need to find a way how to improve our operations, how to decrease our cost, and simplify our procedures. And that's the technology is the right answer for that. It's not easy, of course. You have more obstacles than you can imagine, and you don't need to change everything and to make according to the technology. But technology must be driver for that.
So what have you digitalized in Nelt?
I think that Nelt put technologies on the first point from real beginnings. Actually, let's say when we send our sales force with the handheld devices on the spots, and now they're doing with the tablets, we recognize that we need to improve our operations. Then we need to think about efficiency, and we need to think about what is the value proposition for our clients. We recognize that we need to have stable ERP system, that we need to have good operation in the warehouse, so the warehouse management system is must for us. Then we need to have a good routing procedure, so we need to optimize our routes to decrease the cost. And of course, we need something that our clients will have on the spot. That's our mobile sales force. We improve our operations in the warehouse, introducing or implementing pick by voice technology in warehousing. So everything is, I will say, driven by the improving operations. That's the one way of digitalization. The another way, it should be finding the way how you should change your future business model, which will need to be on the technology.
Yeah, I wanted to say it's an ongoing process, Dmitar. So, I mean, once when you think that you're on top of it, the next second you learn that there are new things that you have no idea of. Is that the case in banking?
Well, it's a constant change, if this is what you mean. So you discover a new feature, new product, then in, I cannot say next day, but in a very short period of time, you realize that also that your customer is evolving and you need to take actions in order to satisfy this demand. And advanced banks, they are kind of taking care of this. They try to use different predictive analytics to to see what the customer needs are. So there is a development in this area. And these days, and the future actually, what I see in the banking business is that the products which are offered by banks, especially in the retail area, they're commoditized. They become like a commodity. So they need to be available at any time to the customers.
So are the customers driving the change? Are they more demanding these days than they were like 15 years ago?
I mean, definitely customers are much more.
I mean, would you say that your customers are digital, that they are more digital maybe than you?
I mean, it depends. It varies. I cannot generalize. I don't like generalization. There are customers who are more digital. Others, they still prefer to meet us in our branches. There are different concepts, banks without branches and so on. So I think there is a market for everyone, but definitely there is a trend of the customers who are digitally aware to choose more digital channels for using their services. What I actually like with the discussion so far, I think also the audience can discover the common denominator of digitalization. So this is the efficiency. And this is the common denominator for all industries. So in banks, it's also efficiency, but also customer satisfaction, also risk management. Because the first thing I learned when I studied the banking back at school was that the banking business is a function of the economy. So the banks change as the economy changes. If there is no demand or no, so maybe this change can be slower. But now there is a huge demand from different stakeholders, not only customers, also internal pressure to digitalize.
Okay, Nikolay, apart from this digital oil, what have you digitalized in this?
Actually, we are implementing new digital technology and tools in all segments of our businesses, but I want to say that kind of focus on that. NIS actually has three big parts inside the company, which are pretty different. We have upstream, we have refinery, and we have a sales block. So the good news that we are in whole big group and we work all together. The bad news that all of each block have the different mindsets and a different approach. So, and sometimes that, it's difficult to understand what need one business, what need another. For example, if we are talking about upstream, this is part of the NIS which is responsible for oil and gas production. And main focus of that business and in digitalization, how we can work with geology uncertainties, how can work with geology. So, and if you're talking about refinery, the main approach, how we work with equipment reliability, how we can manage all our equipment in the refinery that will be ready in time. If we're talking about sales block, it's another story. It's basically like a retail. So how we communicate with our clients. So on a pump station with our whole sales clients. So, and okay, again, about the upstream, we are focused on how we can monetize our geological data, how we can make our decision quicker, how we can find this digital oil. So, and I think that the mainstream here, the data science and machine learning. If we are talking about the refinery, so our main focus is predictive analytics. How we have to understand when and what equipment will be failed in the next week, months, or year. And the second thing on a refinery, how we can or how we should manage all this process, how then oil, for example, when oil comes to the refinery, it will go through 12 or 20 units. How we can manage all this process real time, getting a lot of data from the sensors. And if we're talking about sales block, I just seen in this, here some of our colleagues from the sales block, hello. So how we can communicate with our clients. So basically, it's similar to the banking. We are implementing B2B solution, B2C solution. This is application for the iPhone. It's could be the portal in web portal. So we are moving from the physical world to the digital world. All communication with our customers can be in your application.
I mean, all of you said that the business is changing. It means that you have to hire new kind of people. You said it is more like people who understand data science and data analytics than economists. But Nikolay, in your case, it's even more difficult because you don't have a real competitor on this market. So where do you find and who do you hire? Where do you find those people that you need for? I mean, is it just anybody who can work in data science so he can accommodate it, he can adjust himself to work with the oil industry, or you need to find some specific people?
Okay, we can talk about specific data science, yeah, because data science conference. So this is challenging thing, and I think that you can't find the geologists who know data science. You can find data scientists who knows geology. Because of that, I think it's for us it's two ways. At that moment, we just thinking about doing teams. Geologists, data scientists, data engineers, programmers all together, solving the geological issue, for example, or predictive maintenance issue. But if we are talking about our perspective in 1 or 2 years, we want to train our geologists in data science. So give geologists who has a geology background the data science tools in his hand, that he can solve this problem using this tool.
So you think that the geologists who are now, I mean, the students of geology, that they should definitely learn data science because that's going to be probably their core business in the future?
And not all of them, for sure, but some of them who are interested in that, who see their next step in his career in that way, for sure we are going to train them.
What about the rest of you? What would you say? Milan?
I think that the digitalization is bringing a huge cultural shift. So we need to find the people with appropriate knowledge and develop people with the appropriate knowledge. We don't have that knowledge in the company so many at this moment. That means if we want to go further, we need to develop the people. We need to find people who are interested in data science. We need to invest in them. But also, we need to get knowledge from the outside, because if we have only from our resources, we will not get, we cannot make the clear path to the future. And of course, if you look on that perspective, always for the data science, it's an important team. You said technologists, geologists. We have somebody in the warehouse or operational excellence in the logistics. They need to work with the data scientist or somebody in the IT team. It must be team, because they have business knowledge and you have data scientists which knows technology.
So you don't see them just as users?
No.
So the people who work in Nelt, they cannot be considered just as the end users of the technology?
No, because I think if we look on them as the end users, it's not part for the progress, because you need to have product owners. You need to have somebody who is coming from the business to give you. If you have a project which is led only by IT, it is questionable it will be successful. You need guys from the business to get you the knowledge that you need. You need to get value proposition for your clients. And business is that which brings that.
So Dmitar, the obvious questions, when are you going to kick all the economists out of the banks?
Well, most probably never, but yeah, it's one of my favorite topics about the talents and competencies. I like the concept of data-driven organizations, where basically for a data-driven, I just was talking to another presentation an hour ago. It's basically, it requires, you need the tools, or this is the technologies, You need the competencies and you need the culture around. So the last two, like competencies and culture, for me are the glue who can, technology cannot run by itself. I mean, they are kind of science fiction books and, you know, movies. You can see that maybe artificial intelligence can run a business by, but it's hardly possible these days, maybe in future, I don't know. But if you be more realistic, in the, we need people to run these models, and there are different concepts. How can we spread this data science or data awareness in the organization? So one concept is we dedicate a special team who is dealing with the data, and the rest of the guys are doing whatever they are doing. Then there is also an approach in which you can still have this team, but also you need to raise the awareness about the importance of data and data-driven organization, among others. Because there are still areas maybe in each and every organization where people are not aware about this. They are doing their daily routine, they see some numbers, they deliver some results, but they're not kind of questioning how they can do better, and what is the data behind, and how we can use it, and so on and so forth. It's very difficult to make every employee of the bank data scientist, but at least you need to teach them and to make them aware about the importance of data and the digital solutions for the future.
So, what is the lesson of digitalization that you have learned the hard way, so we can buy it cheaply now, Nikolay?
So we're just in the start of our journey, digital journey, I do believe. So I think that we'll get a lot of lessons learned. But if we are talking for that moment, I think that we faced with the biggest issue. This is what my colleague told. This is culture and competence. So we can find these technologies. We can train people. We can find, you know, good solution. We can find the points where our pain points. But this is not like a one project. It's a process which will follow in the next few years. So, and we have to find that the winners in each business segment. We have to find the pioneers. We have to find enthusiasts who will lead this process. I think that this changing of this culture, the biggest issue, and it's not only about this how we can work with digital technologies, and it's also about the project. Okay, we spend a lot of time in our company explaining people, okay, we used to work in a classical PM book, like in a waterfall, but okay, let's talk not about the waterfall, about agile, about the product. It's another thing. So it's product owner. Who is product owner? And it's sometimes difficult to explain people because it's another philosophy. And for like a main lesson for that moment, this is that we have to spend more and more time for doing these culture changes in our company.
More and more money?
Not money, you know, sometimes you can't buy understanding or enthusiasm. So I think it's more talk with the people, finding the right person, and team building, and talking with the C-level managers, you know, and otherwise it will be a waste of your money. You can invest, you know, $2 million, $10 million, but how it influences on your business, what KPIs, what additional oil will you get? So this is the main question.
Dmitar, your lesson.
Yeah, this is very important point. So because you know, you might see organizations investing in one or another product, feature, whatever, but without just for the sake of having some digital solution or whatever, but without clear KPIs or without clear, maybe they have a goal at the end to say, okay, if we invest in something, then we might get something else out of it. But the lessons are, it's a process. So we need, whenever we decide to invest, we need to see the value added of this investment, not for the sake, okay, our competitors are investing in something, then let's do the same. So for me, in my view, this is a wrong process. And where the finance actually kick in such a process, you have to at least calculate your net present value of the investment. For example, you invest X amount of money. In 5 years' time, you get another amount of money to see how these are comparable, and then you decide. There are also other KPIs like future customer value, for example, when you invest in acquiring a customer. So how much this customer will bring, how much value this customer will bring to your company. So it's here is the connection between digitalization and finance or economics, I would say.
Yeah,
The hard lesson.
Hard lesson. Yeah, you need to, let's say, you need to have your goods to your customers for 72 hours, 48 hours, 24 hours, next minutes. That's how the business is changing with the technology. You are now having last mile, which is very, very short, and you need to have solutions that can solve your problems. And that's how customers expect. And I think that the huge change and the pain points that we need to solve is that we need, again, I'm coming to the cultural shift. You need to shift your thinking. You need to go to the customer's shoes and see what they expect. I think even for the software development, we developed what is nice to have, what we think is nice to have. It's good to have as a solution, but in these days, that's the wrong approach. You need to check what your customer expects. Is this value proposition for your customer? And that's the transformation in the way how project is doing. Previously, you had water flow. You define something and go. Now you have agile. You need to adopt something that said, okay, MVP, is it good enough? What should we change? And that's why digitalization is an ongoing process. It's not a project. It will not stop. You will have demands and demands and demands from a customer, and you need to be fast and agile to adopt and to respond to that. And that's very hard. And sorry, just to say, I think that 70% of digitalization projects are failed. I think that somebody even put some numbers in that, but you need to think about make money for the company.
So
at the
one,
end,
so 1 in 3 is successful, to put it that way.
yeah, 1 in 3 is successful. So that means that we sometimes are wasting our money. Think, oh, this is good. Let's go to the, without clear KPIs, without clear expectation, at the end, we need to make money for the company. We need to work in our ecosystem. If you don't look at the ecosystem, you will provide something which is, who will use that? And you waste your money.
Okay, the question for all three of you, do you still have non-digital partners that you're doing business with?
Nelt for sure have. Because we are going to every spot in this country, so basically every traffic and everything we need to deal with them. We have, from 1st of December, we must go to, we are stopped to go in the city center with our trucks and deliver the goods to our customers. But we need to have some documents in the paper form. So even we are not digital. Why do you have, why cannot we show?
You mean you're not 100% digital?
Yes, but this is a question of ecosystem. Ecosystem needs to make whole.
But it sounds more to me like you're talking about non-digital clients. I'm talking about non-digital partners that you're doing business with, the companies.
But they are actually our partners. We are doing with them.
Okay, so we're clear about that. What about the banks?
Well, if we continue with the customer, because everything we're doing for our customers. We are actually having only one digital end-to-end product. I see the colleagues here from the retail CRM department in our bank, and these days customers can apply online, open an account, get a loan online in 15 minutes only. And this is the only fully digital process which we are having, to be honest. We have other parts of the bank which are semi-digital. There are still customers who really prefer, they don't want to touch internet banking, mobile banking. They want to show up in the branches. And although there are features in our applications which they can do money transactions and whatever from home.
Still, you're talking about the customers. I mean, but what about the
external counterparts? Yes, as I mentioned at the beginning, the banking business is very regulated, and a lot of things are still required to be stamped. And for example, there have been a very good progress on this initiative of fully digital online process, which we got a very good solution from the authorities. But there are still some other areas where we need to submit, papers, stamps, signatures. So this is the area where we are not, for example, digital.
Okay, Nikolay, maybe I can get the answer with you. Do you have any partners who can tell you, no, we're doing things the old way. We're not going digital. Have you heard anything similar?
No, actually I didn't. For sure we have non-digital partners, but actually, so the question, what does it mean digital partner? So if we are working on the digital project, all our partners are digital because we're implementing digital tools. But if we are talking about, for example, I don't know, chemical management on our wells, so this is another story. This is our chemical partner. So working with the chemicals, we are looking for new recipe for this chemical. But we are thinking how we can manage all these logistic of deliver chemicals on each well with the digital tools, how we can optimize this amount of chemicals which we inject in each well in a digital way. So in general, yeah, we are moving in that side. So, but we don't have any goal like, okay, let's do everything digital. I think we have to think about it in a real way, with the real understanding of business needs, for sure.
So you're not that close to letting your computers do the purchase for your plants,
Yeah.
instead of somebody making a decision.
If we are talking about purchasing, yes, we think about it. So we are thinking how we can connect all our production systems with our warehouses, and how we can one day, okay, that machine can make an order, okay, I need buy this, and this. So we are thinking about it, how we can do that in one platform. Maybe it could be a SAP for HANA or something with similar things.
You like that, Milan?
But it's not like a thing which can be solved in one day, you know.
I mean, I was asking, I mean, if the computer was purchasing, it's also helping probably the logistic company.
Yes, it will help the logistic company, but I'm not sure for the sales. So actually, you need to have people touch somewhere. You can automatize most of your process, but one part will still become and stay people touch.
Okay, I have to follow on that because I have a couple of questions here. Do you predict significant reduction of sales force due to digitalization?
In the future,
and you can all answer if you want.
In the future, for sure. Maybe not significant, but one part will be definitely changed by, let's say, digital platforms, something like that. We can see that in the real field.
Anyone wants to add?
I mean, for sure. In my view, the tendency is going in reduce the sales force. I just will refer to one example of another bank which was named to be the best digital bank in the world, DBS from Singapore. So they were asking them how many employees they reduced, for example, with their digital kind of initiatives, and they were saying we didn't reduce many. Why? Because basically the sales force, which was doing the direct sales, these guys, they were put in a kind of back office function, but to train machines, how to sell, or to train algorithms. So maybe this is another other type of skill for the future. So the one who was selling, or a team of sellers can train big AI or algorithm.
Until we get the capable AI machines that can train themselves in between.
Well, it's very dangerous in my view, but I hope this will not be the case. But this is my personal opinion.
Not that anybody will ask us, but
yes, this is another point. But definitely, the sales force, coming back to your question, will be optimized, I would say.
Do you want to add, Nikolay?
I want to give some example. So we were talking about the sales force. Maybe it's in general, it's not so common for the needs. We can talk about, for example, pump station. So yes, we're implementing some digital tools which help us to sell more fuel, some coffee, and so on. But we don't expect that it will reduce our sales force too much. For one small example, which we discussed with our colleagues from Yandex. So they had a project in Poland for full automatization pump station, and they expected, they have a good optimized pump station, no people, they sell coffee, fuel automatically, and everything will be fine. But after that, when they implement this, the sales went down. Why? Because people came on a pump station not only for buying, but for communication, for talking, for chatting, speaking what happened there.
So they need robots. That's what you want to say. To do the communication.
So in this case, we have to come back to the speech of our keynote about the artificial intelligence. So we have a good results in robotics things, but if we are talking about emotions, we are failed yet.
Okay. So how much money in percents from your budget you invest for digitalization, each one of you? So Nikolay.
I have to calculate. Give me a second. In budgeting, so I can't give you exact numbers.
Percent. From your budget, I mean, that's pick the budget.
So I would say that one. So we spend more than $1 million, but less than $100 million.
Okay.
I mean, it's a sensitive topic to disclose, but a certain percent, good banks, for example, they invest certain percentage of their revenue. This is the KPI which can be disclosed even in some of the annual reports. So I would say more than 10% of our revenues. I mean, we can discuss whether it's a capex or opex, which part. There are different ways to invest in digital solutions. But I think every organization should pay attention on this, how much really from the earning they are having these days, in this semi-digital world, they invest for the future. So this is.
Yeah.
Well, I will try to be politically correct. So I will say something that Gartner says in some, let's say, the prediction. They said that you need, if you look at the IT budget, you need to have 70% on run business, 20% of growth, and 10% for the transformation. And we are trying to approach that.
So around 10%, that sounds nice. Do you understand digital transformation of a company as to be more data-driven, more automated business processes, or changing complete business model?
You need to have both, I said. You need to have something that optimizes your current business model, and of course you need to develop new business model which depends on the technology.
For us, for sure, it's two things. It's data-driven, and this is automation. This is IoT on refinery, on our oil fields. So I think these are our main focuses. But if we are talking about whole business transformation, I don't think that it's relevant for the oil and gas.
What about banks? Is it about the complete transformation or?
I mean, it's very interesting you mentioned transformation because we have a so-called transformation map, which we're following, and it's a very important process for us. And I think the time of gut feeling is kind of over in a way. There'll still be some kind of, based on your experience, you can judge for the future, but the data-drivenness will be more and more actual.
Okay, all four of us are from the times, I mean, we do remember analog times, fortunately or unfortunately. So to finish this panel, may I ask you, is there any analog thing, anything analog in your business that you miss today that doesn't exist anymore and that you really liked?
Well, just shortly to answer, when I started working in a banking, I was doing everything, the process end-to-end analog. So I cannot say that I'm missing this part. So difficult to answer to me actually the human interaction is becoming less and less like face-to-face. It becomes like online. This maybe this shift of human interaction for me is a bit missing. Everyone is on kind of social networks.
Well, sometimes it helps.
Yeah, so this is maybe to increase the human interaction for me. It's more something.
Yeah.
I don't think that I miss anything. Maybe I try to follow the technology, but I'm not sure that I am remembering the phone and then you have double lines, and that's something that different that doesn't need. I don't think how we did even make telephone calls from them. So now you have mobile phones, you can reach everybody. I don't have even a phone in my house, so without mobile.
You mean the fixed line?
Fixed line, yes, fixed line. As you remember, we had double
pair,
lines.
yeah,
the pair, yeah. So you need to pick up your phone and waiting for the line to kind of.
Oh, you mean the double?
Double, yes.
As we used to call it. Yeah.
Yes, double. We call it the double. Yes, yes. And you think something like that, and now you have a phone. You can communicate with everyone. Of course, it's a problem when you come to the holiday,
Actually,
and everybody can find you.
There's a better word, dead ringer, which is true to say. Okay, Nikolay, what about you?
Oh, yeah, for example, a few years ago, maybe 4, if I want to work with some kind of data out of Serbia, so I couldn't do it. Or otherwise, I have to have a big hard drive, mobile hard drive, and put it in my pocket and go to the business trip.
That's still digital. I'm talking about the analog things.
But it was analog things, so that
carrying.
Yeah, I have to take all data on a hard drive and move to another country, for example, to the business trip and work there. So, or otherwise, I didn't have an opportunity to work with data. So, but now we implement, and Goran had a talk yesterday about that. Now all our specialists who work with a mass of data, they have access to this data, to all these simulation, not only our office, but in Russia, in home, and so on. So actually, this is how we can transform our way of work. So, and we also thought about maybe we can give our employees the opportunity to don't go to the work on Friday, just you can be at home and get the access to all your data, to all these computing forces and do it. But it's another story. But actually, this has changed our life.
So it means we don't regret anything analog. I may say I miss a less competition, which existed in the analog times, but that's me. Okay, thank you for your questions. This was the panel on digitalization, and what follows is the lunch, and see you back here, I think 2:30 in this hall with a new keynote that is going to be quite interesting. See you. Thank you all. Sorry, I have to present you with certificates if we have them.